And so, I'm going to do some movements with our arms. And then we cross our legs and we move from the center. So I'll talk there's a lot of noise, isn't there? I'm not quite sure.
Do we mute ourselves?
Yeah. If it's noisy your end, can you mute yourself?
Yeah.
It seems to have quieted down. It's usually, to be honest, I usually hear the noise when someone's moving their device around. So that's when it is. Hi, Tracy. So yeah, so start lying down onto your backs and I'll talk you through these movements. So, but first of all, we're just going to arrive. Hi, Sharon, by the way. So yeah, settle down onto your backs and lie however is most comfortable first of all. So you don't need to have your knees bent. You could have your legs long. And I'd like you to bring your hands onto the front of your body. And just rest your hands somewhere on the front of your body that is helpful for you. So the feeling of the hands on the front of the body can be quite soothing and settling, but also it's that opportunity to bring your attention to your breathing. So with the hands resting on the front of your body, you can feel your breath coming in, your breath leaving you. Donna. So Donna lying down, hands on the front of the body, just having a few breaths. And it's just taking that time to settle and arrive. And as Hilary was saying before we started, we are in these strange times and we can feel a bit all over the place. So, yeah, so it's just giving ourselves a little bit of time to settle, to arrive, to sense our body. The first thing I'd like you to do is just to let your head roll a little bit to the right and to the left. So feel that the head is heavy on the floor. Let the head roll side to side. Not pushing it, just keeping it very easy, but feeling the contact of the back of your head on the floor. And then from rolling your head to the right and to the left, then settle the back of your head down in a comfortable place. And then if your legs are long, you're now going to bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. And take a moment to feel the back of your pelvis on the floor, to feel the contact of your footprints on the floor. And then just start to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. And so if, as Kate was saying, is this sort of band of discomfort around the back of the pelvis into the front of the hip joints, if you're experiencing something similar, then just go easy with this movement. So we're using this tilting of the knees movement to help us to sense how our body is right now. And if your body is tight or achy around the pelvis, then you just want to be really easy with it. Good. Just a couple more times. And then settle in the center. And you're going to move the arms now. So if you like, you could lengthen your legs out on the floor, but you don't have to. So you're going to bring your arms up into that position where you've got your hands touching together in prayer pose, immediately over your chest. But we're not going to rock the arms from side to side. We're just going to move the arms from the center to the right. And let the head move with you and then come back to the center. So you're just doing, I always think, I suppose, as a quarter movement or a half movement maybe. So rocking the arms from the centre over towards the right, letting the head come with you. That's it, come back to the centre. Keep the hands stuck together, keep the elbows straight. Very nice. And do this 2 or 3 more times. Good. Lovely. Very nice hands, everyone. Okay, and then bring the arms down to rest on the floor beside you. Let the arms feel heavy. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And now if your legs are long, bend your knees, stand your feet on the floor. And you're going to cross your left knee over your right knee. We get to there, left knee crossed over the right knee. So when you've crossed your left knee over your right knee, then you're going to start to rock your legs from the centre over to the left and then back to the centre. To cross your knees rather than your ankles, Kate. Yeah, so can you slide that leg across a bit more? That's it, yeah. So the knees are crossed. So as if you were sitting cross-legged in a chair. Good. So your knees rock from the centre to the left and then back to the centre. And just see how this feels. And because you've got the left leg crossed over the right, that left leg helps to take the right leg over to the left with it. So do this a few more times and make sure that if it feels that it's pulling, Kate, at all around the lower back, just do less. Make it a smaller movement. Or anyone else, not just Kate. And then come back to the centre, uncross your legs, and then just do whatever you like with your legs. They could be knees bent, feet standing on the floor. You could lengthen your legs out. Yes, you could shake your legs up into the air if you like. And let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then rest your legs down on the floor. So you've got your legs up in the air, just rest your legs somewhere and bring your hands back into that prayer pose position. You all right there, Donna?
Yeah, no, I'm just repositioning you. Sorry.
So hands back into prayer pose. And so this time you're going to be rocking your arms from the centre to the left and then back to the centre. So rock your arms from the centre to the left and then back to the centre. Good. And see how that feels. Again, keep it comfortable and do that maybe 2 or 3 more times, rocking the arms from the centre to the left, keeping the hands stuck together, keeping the elbows straight. And then in your own time, let the arms go, let the arms come to rest down by your sides. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then you're going to cross your right knee over your left knee. And so everyone's frozen here, but can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I can't see anyone moving, but I'm glad you can still hear me. So you've got your right knee crossed over your left knee, and you're going to be rocking your knees from the centre over towards the right. So this is what I always think of as our sort of 4th quarter of the movement. Knees rocking from the centre over towards the right. You've got your right knee crossed over your left knee. Very nice. And just do that once or twice more if you like. And then you can pause in the center. You can uncross your knees. Just let yourself settle on the ground. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. Might be quite nice to lengthen your legs out completely. And then from there, once again, bend your knees, bring your feet to stand on the floor, and start to tilt your knees to the right and to the left. So your knees are not crossed now, you've just got both feet standing on the floor, you're tilting your knees to the right and to the left. And in your own time, you can pause in the middle and give yourself a hug with your arms. So you're crossing your elbows over your chest. And you can start to rock the elbows and the head and the knees to the right and to the left. And just keep going from side to side. You're giving yourself a little massage across the back of your body. And in your own time, you're going to rock all the way over onto one side. You're going to have a few breaths on your side, and we're going to come over onto hands and knees. And Sarah, I'm just thinking, is this going to be problematic for you?
I'll just try and see, maybe.
Okay. So we're going to do, I mean, you'll probably be, yes, well, let's just see how you get on. And it might be that you need a bit of extra padding. I don't know whether having an extra blanket or something under the injured knee might help. So that's a possibility. So at the moment, everyone's frozen, so I can't see you moving. I'm going to be coming onto hands and knees, and I'm just going to be assuming you're doing the same thing. So we're coming to settle onto hands and knees. So I think just shout. Some of you muted. Donna, I'm going to unmute you. It's just a little bit noisy.
Yeah, sorry, that was somebody boiling the kettle.
Oh, I know, it's terrible, isn't it? I'm just, yeah. So yeah, if you want me to hear you and you're muted, you can always unmute yourself. So come on to hands and knees, and just first of all, do a little bit of circling of your shoulders over your hands. So we're thinking about settling and arriving on hands and knees. And I think at the moment it's really, I know for me in my own practice, it's really important to take this time to settle and arrive, or I can just feel that I'm somewhere else completely. And when you feel that you've settled, you're going to come to some cat movements. So rounding your back and dipping your spine, and just really notice how these feel. And then, so we're not trying to push anything, we're trying to bring some movement into our bodies, but in a way that feels comfortable and easy. Now we're going to use the rounded up cat to move into dog pose. So you might want to watch me for a moment. We're going to be rounding our backs to the ceiling, tucking the toes under, and then you're going to go up, right up onto the balls of your feet. And then as you exhale, bend your knees a bit, send your pelvis back. So we're going to do a couple of dog poses like that from the rounded up cat. And then, bending your knees as much as you're in dog. And I'll talk you through a second one in a moment. So it's that feeling of moving into a dog pose, and just in a slightly different way where we really lengthen out the lower back. So if you've gone up and you've come down and you want to go into a dog in this way with me, you can be back on hands and knees, tucking your toes under, exhaling, rounding your back in cat. Let another breath come in, and then on the next exhalation, you're sending your pelvis up towards the ceiling. You're right up on the balls of your feet, quite a lot of weight through your arms, and then bend your knees. So you're sending your pelvis back a lot more. And just see how that feels. Have a few breaths in that second dog, and then we'll have a few breaths in child pose. Sarah, how are you bearing up?
I'm doing elbow dog.
Okay.
Once I'm up, I'm okay. The knees.
Okay. Well, don't stay there. Don't stay there too long if you're doing elbow dog. So. And how's child pose if you fold in the child pose?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So when you've done a couple of dog poses in that way, fold down into child pose and just have a few breaths in child and see how that feels. Now, if child pose doesn't feel great, you could always be on your forearms and your knees and rocking forwards and back a little bit. And we're actually, Sarah, again, it might be that you do the next thing we do, that you do on your forearms and possibly and your knees, if it depends how your knees are with rocking. Because what I'd like you to do now is come to hands and knees again, tuck your toes under, big handprints on the floor, and just a little bit of rocking back. So you're really asking your toes to bend, and then bring your shoulders back over your hands. So we're not really rocking forwards at the moment, we're just coming back to our starting point. Maybe as we exhale, rocking the hips back over the heels, and then coming forwards, shoulders over the hands. The next time you rock your hips back over your heels, stay back, let a breath come in, and then as you exhale, try to lean through your arms, shoulders as undone as possible, and then lengthening out your legs towards dog, but the knees might still stay quite bent. And a little bit of walking on spot in dog. And we'll do a couple of dogs in that way, from that rocking back way. So have a few breaths in your dog, and then we will come into another dog pose in that same way. Do ask me if nothing's clear, because I've still got everyone's frozen at the moment. Everyone's frozen on their backs, most of you. I think that's not.
We're all lying down.
That's it, all lying down. Nothing wrong with that. So look, come back onto hands and knees, tuck your toes under again. And again, come back to this where you're rocking forwards and back. You're really asking your toes to bend. And then we move into dog pose. We've got these big handprints on the floor. We rock the hips back over the heels. Let the shoulders soften and undo. And then just see how it feels to pick the knees up off the floor, not the floor. Lengthening your legs out into dog pose. And then of course, once you're in dog pose, you can bend one knee, you can bend the other knee. I keep feeling as I come into dog pose that I would like to have my feet a bit wider apart. So that can be nice, to have the feet be quite wide in dog and bending the knees quite a lot. And I think particularly if your upper back or shoulders are feeling stiff, that can be good. So I'm coming over to have a look. Oh, good. At least I can see some of you on hands and knees now, even if you're not moving, according to my computer. Good. And then when you come down from that second dog, just maybe sit comfortably for a moment so you can see the next thing we're going to do, which is just a little thing with hands and knees. And so, Sharon, we'd have done this on Wednesday as well. So on hands and knees, we're going to add together cat and that rocking backwards and forwards movement. So you're going to be rounding your back, staying rounded. See, my toes are tucked under to rock back. And then traveling forwards, dipping my spine down. Yeah, so very simple. So come on to hands and knees, and you can do this with me. Rounding, rocking back, traveling forwards, dipping the spine down. Sorry, you might need to do your forearms, I think.
Yeah.
So hands and knees, toes tucked under, if it's possible. If it's not possible to have the toes tucked, it's fine. Have the feet flat. So hands and knees, rounding your back to the ceiling. Staying rounded as you rock your hips back over your heels. And then as you bring your shoulders back over your hands, you might bend your elbows a little bit to let your spine dip down. And just keep repeating that a few times. Now, you don't necessarily need to bend your elbows a huge amount. You're not trying to dip your chest all the way down to the floor. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but you don't have to. So just carry on with this a few times, rounding, rocking back, staying rounded, travelling forwards, dipping down. Maybe do it one more time. And then the next time you do this, untuck your toes, round your back to the ceiling, rock your hips back over your heels, come into child pose for a couple of breaths. Because we're going to take this into a longer sequence now, which then we did this one on Wednesday, Sharon. So let's see. Yeah, it's really strange. I still can't see anyone moving.
Oh.
I'm moving though. Can you see me moving?
Yes, yeah.
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 Okay, let me maybe again watch for a moment, as you can see me moving. Watch for a moment. I'll just show you the whole of this sequence and then we'll go through it together a few times. So it starts off doing just what we did, this rounding up, rocking back, coming forwards, dipping the spine. And then we repeat the rounding up and rocking back. But at this point, we then take the hands further forwards and we might touch the forehead to the floor, but not the elbows. And then we travel forwards rounded in towards face up dog. Then from face up dog, we fold back into child pose. Now, at this point, we're going to slide into here. You may want your books or blocks under your fingers. Doesn't matter how you have your hands. It could be knuckles, so that you can do this little mini, mini camel pose. My knees are hip width apart in this one. Then my knees are not traveling massively away from each other. So look, if you think you're going to need to be able to get your fingertips or your knuckles or your hand on the floor, if you need to have blocks or books either side of you, then you might want to get those now, so you've got them ready. Otherwise, we're going to start on hands and knees. So come onto hands and knees. Some you might want to adapt being on your forearms. Hands and knees, toes tucked under. Let a breath come in. As you exhale, round your back to the ceiling. Stay rounded to rock your hips back over your heels. You could let a breath come in this position, and then as you exhale, you travel forwards, letting your spine dip down, back to your shoulders over your wrists. And then once more, round your back to the ceiling, rock your hips back over your heels, staying rounded. At this point, then walk your hands a bit further forwards, but keep your elbows off the floor. Your forehead might touch the floor, that's quite nice. And then as you exhale, travel forwards to face up dog, really rounding your back. Seeing how it feels. It can be quite nice in face up dog to let an in-breath come in, feel wide in the front of the chest. And then rock all the way back into child pose. And settle in child pose for a breath or two. And then we slide our hands in towards us. We come into kneeling. And this is when we do that little mini camel pose. So you've either got your fingertips or your knuckles, or it could be the flats of your hands on the floor. That doesn't work for me. And you're pressing the tops of your feet into the floor, and you're lifting your pelvis, sending your pelvis forwards. It's a big stretch through the quads here. So again, if knees don't like it, if lower backs aren't that happy, it doesn't have to be massive. And then the last part, which I didn't say of the sequence, is we come into dog pose. So we plant the hands, we put the toes under. You can move into dog pose however you like. Elbow dog, Sarah, having a few breaths here. Let the head go. Exhaling. And then just before we come back, and we repeat that sequence, maybe have a quiet breath either in kneeling or in child pose, just so you give your wrists a chance to rest. So we're going to do this 2 more times. So come back onto hands and knees. So you want to start off with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hip joints, tucking your toes under. You can be exhaling, rounding your back to the ceiling, staying rounded, rocking your hips back over your heels, letting a breath come in. As you exhale, your spine dips down and you bring your shoulders back over your hands. And then once again, rounding your back to the ceiling, rocking your hips back over your heels. This time you stay rounded with your back. You walk your hands a bit further forwards. Maybe the forehead touches the floor for a minute. Then as you exhale, rounding your back to the ceiling, bringing your pelvis forwards into face-up dog. Arrive in face-up dog. Feel wide in your chest as you breathe in. And then exhaling all the way back into child pose. Just a breath or two in child. And then you're coming up into kneeling, sliding your hands in. And this is when we do our little mini camel. So fingertips, knuckles on the floor or the blocks, pressing down into the tops of your feet. This is a big stretch, well it is for me anyway, through my quads. Some of you might find this easy and be able to go further. And then on into dog pose already. And just enjoying that sense of in dog pose. And from dog pose, just a breath or two in hands and knees, all kneeling before we do our final cycle of this sequence. And this time what we're going to do at the end, from dog pose, we're going to come into a forward bend and we're going to come up into standing. So last time, coming onto hands and knees, tucking your toes under, and then on hands and knees. So on hands and knees, toes tucked under, exhaling, rounding your back to the ceiling, rocking your hips back over your heels. As the breath leaves you, let your spine dip down, bring your shoulders back over your hands. And then again, rounding your back to the ceiling, rocking your hips back over your heels. This time, walk your hands a bit further forwards, touch your forehead to the ground. Let a breath come in as the next breath leaves you, rounding your back to the ceiling, traveling forwards into face-up dog. Let the pelvis go. And then from face-up dog, fold back into child pose. So Daisy's just decided to sit by the laptop. So from child pose, you're coming into your little mini camel. Obviously the nice sunny spot in the room. Oh, I can see people moving again. That's rather nice. So little mini camel pose or bigger camel pose for some of you. And then hands and knees, tucking the toes under, lengthening out into dog pose, having a few breaths here. And just remember, this dog pose is going to take us up into standing. So from dog pose, we're going to be walking our hands slowly into our feet, coming into a forward bend. Letting the head go, arriving completely in your forward bend. And then when you're ready, sinking into your heels, rolling up into standing. Oh, very nice. I've got everyone back now. That makes me much happier. Ooh. Oh, so we can arrive in standing in a beautiful sunny day. Daisy has gone to sit behind the laptop. I hope she'll sit still now. So, as we usually do in standing, a bit of this one, swinging our arms. Again, if there's noise in your sort of where you are, you can mute yourselves, or get really rowdy, I will mute you. Sounds like someone had a very noisy cat there. So I'm guessing either Donna or Alison.
It was me, sorry.
Was it you with the noisy cat? That's fine. You like the animals taking part. Okay, from swinging your arms, just settle for a moment in standing. So you could bring one hand to your belly and one hand to your chest. And maybe close your eyes for a moment and just see, can you feel either your belly or your chest responding to your breathing. And you could also let your arms go, let your arms hang from your shoulders and do a little bit of swaying from side to side. So letting your weight shift over one foot and then over the other. So as you may have realised from the sequence we're doing, quite a lot of the movements we're doing today are about length in the front. Sorry, there goes Daisy again. Length in the front and the back of the body, too hot for her. So we're going to come into a little sequence from the big front of our mats that takes us into lunge. Sarah, how are you getting on with your knee on the ground?
It's not good in actual hands and knees. It's okay in kneeling.
Okay, we'll see how it is in lunge. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
might
just go
need,
down on my stomach.
yeah, okay, if you want to do a bit of that rather than going towards lunge. So everyone else, come towards the front of your mat. Bring your hands in prayer pose. So this little sequence, it's like the beginning of sun salute, that we go back into a lunge, but then we stop at that point. And we're going to do 3 different cycles of it, so 3 different lunges. So from here, we'll do it together. Let a breath come in. As you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Let a breath come in, drop your shoulders. And then as you exhale, curling down into a forward bend. And we're going to step the right foot back into lunge. So you need to have your fingertips on the floor so you can do that. So the first time we come into lunge, it is just a very basic lunge. Seeing how it feels today, having a few breaths here. So this feeling of giving the weight of the pelvis to the ground, using your hands, your back toes can be tucked under or flat, whatever you prefer. And then we're going to step back into a forward bend, and we're going to step the left foot back into lunge. So exhaling, step that right foot back into your forward bend, let your head go, and then as you exhale, step the left foot back. So we're doing the other side of lunge without having to come back up into standing. And have a few breaths here, and just see how the second side feels. Giving the weight of the pelvis to the ground, but not overdoing it. So make sure you're also using your arms to help support you, and that front leg. And then as you exhale, we're going to step that back foot forwards, back into your forward bend. And we're going to roll up into standing, touching the backs of the hands together. So rolling all the way up into standing, and just being long and tall in standing. So you can take your arms out in a big circle all the way back down into prayer pose. And then we're going to repeat that, and we're going to do something different in the lunge this time. So let a breath come in. As you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Let a breath come in, and then exhaling, curling forwards into your forward bend. Fingertips on the floor. Once again, step the right foot back into lunge. Now, this time in lunge, well, again, you could have your back toes flat. I'll probably have them tucked under. We're going to turn towards our front foot. So I'm actually going to swap legs so I can turn towards you. So turning towards this front leg. So the same hand as that leg comes onto the back of your pelvis, and your other fingertips can remain on the floor. And just see how it feels to do this lunge twist. And then turn back to the center. You're going to step that back leg, that right leg, back into your forward bend. And then as you exhale, you're going to step the left foot back now into lunge on the other side. Step the left foot back. And then once again, you're turning towards your front leg. So I'm repeating the same side so I can see you. You can see me. But you should be doing the other side. Have a few breaths here. And then turn back to the center. Exhale, step your back foot back into your forward bend. Let your head go. Arrive in your forward bend. And then touch the backs of your hands together. Exhale, roll up into standing. And just be long and tall in standing. Take your arms up towards the ceiling, take them wide, let a breath come in, and then exhale back into prayer pose. So we're going to do this once more, and we're going to just develop that lunge twist a little bit further, which you all know. I'll talk you into. So let a breath come in, exhale, take your arms down and then up. Let the breath come in, exhale, rounding forwards. And once again, step the right foot back. So this time, and you may need, I'm sorry I didn't say this earlier, you may need your block or your book under your hand, because this time you want to have your which would it be? I'll do the other way to you. Your right hand standing on the floor, not just the fingertips. So again, you're turning towards the front leg, but this time you're tucking your toes under so you can pick your back knee off the floor, and then this arm reaches forwards. But it's really helpful if your whole hand can be on the ground and that arm feels a bit like a plank pose arm. So very long from your heel to your fingertips. Oh, this is quite a strong stretch through the front of the groin and the pelvis. And then untwisting. Come back to the spacing forwards. Exhale, step that back foot forwards into your forward bend. And then as you exhale, step the other foot back. And then remember the same thing here. We want to plant. It's going to be the left hand. You want to plant the left hand on the floor. You might want a book or a block under it, and you're turning towards your front leg. Back toes are tucked under, so you can then pick your back knee off the floor and reach forwards with your fingertips. And it's really quite strong and active, sending that back heel away from you. Reaching forwards with the fingertips, having a few breaths there. And then untwisting. Coming back to the centre, exhaling, stepping your back foot forwards into your forward bend. Let your head go. Touch the backs of your hands together. Exhale, rolling up into standing. Letting a breath come in. Exhaling. Big circle with the arms out to the sides. Good. We're going to stay in standing now. So Sarah, yes, you can do what we're going to do now. So we're thinking again about some movements of opening up the front and back of the body. So it could be helpful to have a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly, because I would like you to explore these little movements. So starting to look up and letting your pelvis come forwards and letting your weight come more towards the front of your feet. And then starting to look down and letting the pelvis move back a bit. Your chest can soften, your weight comes more towards your heels. So this is just the beginnings of these, and then we can start to make them a little bit bigger. You've always got the option of going into a forward bend if your back needs to lengthen out. You can, from here, maybe keep one hand on your belly, try taking one arm up. So it's this opening through the front of the body, the pelvis needs to move forwards. You might find it helpful to bend your knees, to really let the tailbone drop and the lower back stay long. And then contrast it with going all the way into a forward bend. Let your head go. Roll up again. You can try the other arm this time, so one hand on your belly. Think about the pelvis comes forward so that we can take the gaze up. Maybe bending the knees, maybe dropping the tailbone. Hilary, you can always do this one where you're supporting your head with your arms. Yeah. That's another option. Back into your forward bend. So these are not ones to stay in, they're really ones to move in and out of. And if you need to move in and out more quickly than me, please do so. I'm probably staying there longer than I would on my own, just because I'm talking. So you can try both arms, of course. Both arms is helpful because the pelvis really has to move forwards to counterbalance. Okay. So just maybe playing around with another one or two in your own time. This big feeling, this feeling of being expansive in the front of the body. At the moment, I think we're so constrained in lots of aspects of our lives, it's good to feel quite expansive in our bodies because they can start to feel constrained too. So if you want to do one more, and then we're going to be going from a forward bend into a squat. So again, you might want your block. Open the front of your body, and then we will let the lower back really have a nice lengthen out coming down through a squat. So if you need a block, if you stay in your squat, then grab one. And so we have a few breaths in squatting. We're trying to let the pelvis hang. It might be if you want to let your knees come wider apart, fold between your knees, not if that overstretches your lower back. And you can just, for a moment in squat, just see how it feels. Because here in squat, the front of our body is really gathered up, isn't it? And the back of our body is lengthening out, particularly around the lower back, because of this weight of the pelvis. We're going to reverse the movement of our squat in a moment and come back into standing. But let's first of all just roll forward. So you might remove your block now. Roll forwards onto hands and knees, or Sarah onto your elbows. So don't fall, come back into standing. And just lengthen each leg out behind you. Lengthen each leg out behind you. And then just before we come back up through reversing that movement, just do a quick plank pose. So wrists under your shoulders. Lengthen one leg back and then the other. Take a moment to feel yourself in plank. So in plank pose, the front and back of our bodies are a very similar length. Oh, it's nice to hear everyone enjoying plank pose. So come back onto hands and knees. Tuck your toes under. You're going to be rolling through your feet. So coming onto the balls of your feet here. And we'll move up into standing from this position, if this is possible for you, or just come into standing anyway. So from here, as you exhale, send your heels down. Let your head go into your forward bend. And then as you exhale, rolling up into standing, arriving in standing. And let's just have a little shape out in standing. We're not going to stay long in standing. We're just going to do just a couple of simple balancing things just to move our feet a little bit more. So what I'd like you to do in standing is just these ones where we start to come up onto the balls of our feet. And then we bring the heels back down. See how this feels. And whenever you come up onto the balls of your feet and you feel steady, you could then, unlike me, you could then add your arms in. And just have a few breaths here. And again, like in plank pose, we're feeling very much that the front and the back of our bodies are a similar length. So we want to feel that the front ribs are quiet, lower back is long and relaxed as much as possible. Good. Let's try that once more and just see what it feels like to have a buzzing breath in that balance. So come onto the balls of your feet and then let your arms come up, and we'll see how it feels to let the breath come in and then have a long buzzing breath here. So let a breath come in. Come back down, have a little shake out, and we'll try that one more time. So let the breath come in, and then as you exhale, come up onto the balls of your feet. When you're ready, let your arms come up, and then we'll have our buzzing breath here. So let the breath come in. And then we're going to use our buzzing breath now to take us down. Well, first of all, we're going to come to the back of our mat. We're going to have a buzzing breath in standing. Then we're going to use it in a forward bend, dog pose, into child pose. So we're thinking about maybe using the buzzing breath to help us slow down and be really present in this little sequence of familiar movements. So it might be, it's up to you, you don't have to. It might be for the standing buzzing breath that you want to bring your hands onto the front of your body. So when you're ready, sensing yourself in standing, then letting a breath come in. Arms, and with your next buzzing breath, you're going to move into a forward bend. So let a breath come in. Quiet breath or two in your forward bend, and then as we walk our hands into dog pose, just very mindful of the contact of the hands on the floor as you walk the hands forward. Once we're in dog pose, we'll have a buzzing breath here. So remember, of course, you can bend your knees as much as you like. Let your breath come in. Really let your head go at the end of that buzzing breath in dog pose. And then fold down into child pose. If you prefer kneeling, you can be in kneeling. One last buzzing breath. Letting the breath come in. A couple of quiet breaths in child pose or in kneeling. And so from kneeling, what I'd like you to do now is come to sit in kneeling for a moment so that you're facing the long edge of your mat. But we're not going to stay here for long because we're going to sit over onto one side so we come into pinwheel, and it doesn't matter which side. So your bottom comes over to one side and your feet come over to the other side, and then you slide your feet apart. Pinwheel. And we're going to do a little bit of stuff here. We're going to be doing something slightly different in pinwheel, though we did do this on Wednesday, Sharon. So this is our twist in pinwheel, and then a movement where we're opening through the front of the body, again sort of in line with some of our theme today. So what I'd like you to do, and sorry, you may find this on one side, you may not be able to lean into your hands so much. Just see, I mean, if it's better to be on your knuckles, you could do that. So what I'd like you to do now is lean onto the hand. So the knee that's going out to the side, you're going to lean onto that hand. And you're going to let all of the weight of your body shift a bit over onto that side. And then the other arm, we start to swing around and give ourselves a slap on the back. Now, as we're turning towards the arm that is resting on the floor, the hand that is resting on the floor, we let the whole of ourselves come along with this movement. So the pelvis can turn, the shoulders, the head, the rib cage. And then this time we turn and we stay. We let the hand rest on the shoulder, the elbow drops, and you see, like in our mini camel, how does it feel to sink into your hand and let your pelvis come forward? And then we come back down. So turn the arm, hand comes onto the shoulder, elbow drops, sink into the hand and let the pelvis lift off the floor. And this time you could then see what's it like to take that arm up towards the ceiling and your gaze. And then undo the movement. So hand back onto your shoulder, bottom back onto the floor, open your arm out. And we'll do this twice more. So turn, hand onto your shoulder, lean down into your hand, lift your pelvis, take your arm up towards the ceiling. Feel how that, how does that feel? This lovely, hopefully feeling of opening through the front of the body, and then unwind, come back down. Take your arm out to the side. One last time, swing your arm round, hand onto your shoulder, sink into the hand that's on the floor, let the pelvis come up. And what's it like to open the front of your body towards the ceiling? Really long down through one side of your body. And then this time when you come back down, we're going to fold over this leg that's coming out to the side. So as we often do in pinwheel, this will be familiar and gives us that chance to lengthen through the back of our body and have a few breaths there. And then from this pinwheel forward bend, just walk your hands in, and we're going to lengthen both legs out on the floor in front of us before we do the other side. So lengthen your legs out, give them a little bit of a roll, and then come back into kneeling so we can move into pinwheel again from kneeling. So we're sitting back in kneeling, and then let your bottom sit over onto the other side and slide your legs apart. And a little bit of circling, settling, just, helping yourself to feel as comfortable and settled here on this side. And then, again, the knee that's turning out to the side, come to lean onto that hand and arm. So it probably means that your whole weight shifts over onto that side. Again, be on your knuckle if that is better for your hand or your wrist. And then start this movement where we swing the arm around. We give ourselves a pat on the back. And it might be that you haven't got the hand in quite the most helpful place, so you can always adjust this arm if you need to, the arm that you're leaning onto. And then when you feel ready, you can try the second stage, which is hand, shoulder, elbow drops, sink into your arm, let your pelvis come up, and then come back down. Again, swing the arm, hand on the shoulder, lean into your arm. This time, you could reach the other arm up to the ceiling. See how it feels to open out the front of your body. Come back down. I felt I needed to adjust my hand that time, which I'm going to do before I come back into it again. Swinging the arm round, hand onto the shoulder. Sink into your arm. Grow up towards the ceiling. Open the front of your body. And then come back down. We'll do that one more time. So swing the arm around, hand onto your shoulder, sink down into your arm, opening through the front of your body. Beautiful. And then come back down and fold the weight of your body over your thigh. And have a deep rest. here. Let yourself settle down. Very nice. And then lean back onto your hands and give your legs a little bit of feeling back. And we're going to come onto our belly now and do some pressing movements into our hands. I might just show you to start with. So watch for a moment. So we're going to, this will be familiar to all of you. We're going to be doing these ones where we press into one hand and we roll on our forehead. We'll do that on both sides. See from the other side. And then we'll do it where we're pressing into both hands, rolling across the forehead, side to side. And we'll also do a little bit of coming into cobra. Okay, and then we will fold back into child pose. So lie down onto your belly and just maybe settle on your bellies to start with and give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle. So again, sorry, if the wrist isn't, if this isn't good for the hand or the wrist, then we do a different one. So settle onto your belly and yeah, just arrive on your belly. Don't worry too much about where your arms are to start with. Have your arms wherever is comfortable. And yeah, pelvis a little bit of a wiggle. And then when you're ready, organise yourself. So your right hand is standing on the floor underneath your right shoulder and your left arm is down by the side of your body. So your starting point is with the middle of your forehead on the floor. And as you exhale, you start to press into your right hand and you feel that your right shoulder starts to lift and you can roll on your forehead a little bit. So your head rolls towards that pressing hand, that right hand. And then you stop pressing and your shoulder moves back down again and your head rolls back to the center. So make sure that, I can't see all of you, but make sure that your elbow is not on the floor because you want your hand to be in this sort of pushing position where the elbow is off the floor and you can really sink your weight into your hand. And just keep repeating this movement a few times. So we press into the hand, the shoulder lifts, the head rolls, and then we stop pressing, the shoulder comes back down. This movement is really great for mobilizing the ribs and getting some movement into the upper back. In your own time, you could swap sides. So bring the right arm down by your side, bring your left hand to stand on the floor. So yeah, that's it, Donna. You might be to slide your hand back a little bit, Donna. So that's it, yeah. So you want to, as much as possible, feel that your hand is under your elbow. And it makes the pushing then is more effective as you press down into your hand. Shoulder can lift, you're rolling on your forehead. So pressing into the left hand now, very nice. Oh, lovely, yes. I'll show you a very nice view of your back now, Sharon. So wonderful. So yes, several times pressing down into the left hand. And then you can bring both hands to stand on the floor. And it's this very nice side to side movement where we're pressing into one hand and then the other. And this gives us a really nice rotation in the shoulders, in the spine between the shoulder blades. So it's really good for moving us there. And what you're going to do is do a bit of that pressing into one hand and then the other. So you're rolling side to side. And then you're also going to pause in the center and press into both hands. And this is when you can come up into cobra. Could be a mini cobra if you like. Remember, the difference between cobra and face up dog is that your pubic bone the bottom front of your pelvis stays on the ground. If your lower back doesn't like that, then don't go very high or don't do it. In between your cobras, you may maybe do 3 cobras, if that's okay. Come back to pressing your right hand and your left hand and rolling across your forehead. And then you pause in the middle, press into your hands, come up into another cobra. And whenever you've had enough, you fold back into child pose. And have a few breaths there. So a few breaths in child pose, and then I'm once again going to show you, because we're going to, hooray, in a moment, we're going to be lying onto our backs. So come and sit for a moment so you can see me. Now, first of all, we're going to lie on our belly, but just do some simple things on our belly that you don't need to see. We're then going to come onto our back. So from your belly, I would like you to try and roll onto your back without getting up. And then on our backs, we're going to all of this, we're going to start with this one, where we're pressing into one foot. And then we'll also see how does it feel to add in the arm. So you might want to do a little bit of circling here with your hand on your elbow, and then we'll be pressing into the foot and the arm. And then from here, we will try the twist version. So where you press into the hand and you let your knee fall across your body. I'll do that one from the other side. So we start off pressing into the foot and the hand, and then it's just the hand that stays planted and the knee can move across our body. So really nice opening through the side of the body. Okay, but first of all, you're going to lie down onto your bellies. So lie onto your bellies. I know it's terribly exciting to be lying on your back, Hilary, but lie onto your belly. It will feel so nice when you come onto your back after being on your belly. So lie on your belly, give your pelvis a little bit of a wiggle. You might want to rest your head, your forehead on the back of your hands. Have a couple of breaths there. And then if you're someone who likes the one where you bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet up towards the ceiling, I'd like you to do that. If you don't like that one so much, maybe just stay with wiggling your pelvis and having a few breaths on your belly. And as I keep saying, this sort of thing about being on our bellies being helpful for our breathing, this is why I'm putting you through all this torture if you hate being on your belly. And then what I'd like you to think about before we come onto our back is how can you roll from your belly onto your back without having to sit up or get up. So, you know, it might not be the most elegant movement, but you could use your hand to press into the floor. Could you let yourself roll from your belly onto your back? And if you've rolled off your mat, you might then need to sort of shuffle back over. And come to settle on your mat. And before we do anything, we're just going to have a few quiet breaths. So lie on your back however you want to. It could be with your knees bent, legs long. You might even want to fold your knees into your chest. So however you want to be on your back. If you folded your knees into your chest, have a little rock and then bring your feet back to stand on the floor. And bring your hands onto the front of your body. So just come back to that feeling we had right at the beginning of class of lying down, bringing our hands onto the front of our body, feeling the movement of our breath in the front of ourselves. And just hopefully enjoying this feeling of maybe being a little bit, I don't know, quieter, more feeling ourselves sort of better integrated, maybe a little bit more settled. And then when you're ready, you're going to keep your right knee bent, or you're going to bend your right knee and stand your foot on the floor. And you're going to lengthen your left leg out on the ground. And what you're going to do now is start to press your right foot into the floor and let your pelvis tilt over towards the right. And do that a few times, pressing into the right foot, letting the pelvis tilt towards the left. Sorry if I said the right. You all know this one well. So for the moment, keep that focus on your knee traveling forwards over your foot. Don't leap ahead to your knee. Oh, Donna, so sweet. Donna's cat. Lovely cuddle. So Sarah, if it's not good for your wrist to bring the hand to stand on the floor, you can also play around with just having the whole arm on the floor next to your head. That might be another, the same arm as foot. So when you've done a few times of pressing into your right foot, you're then going to bring your right hand onto the floor in that back arch position. Now it's easier to bring your hand onto the floor in that position when your pelvis is off the floor. So it might be that you press into your right foot, let the pelvis come off the floor, and then bring your hand into position. Once your hand's in position, let your pelvis come back onto the floor and bring your left hand onto your right elbow and just do a little bit of circling of that left elbow to help, the right elbow to help the right hand settle. And then you can bring the left arm back to rest on the floor. And how does it feel pressed into the right hand and the right foot? And to start with, you're sending your right knee forwards over your foot. So you're not going into that twisty one just yet. You're going into this sort of half back arch movement. The elbow and the knee moving away from each other. The elbow moves to the wall behind your head. The knee moves over your foot. And you let your head roll to the left. So that's quite important. As you press in right hand and your right shoulder lifts, you let your head roll to the left. That's it, Hilary, good with the head. Nice. And do this a few times. Remember, you need to move if the wrist doesn't like it. That's nice, Sharon, letting the head roll. Good, good. And then in your own time, you can start to let your right knee, so you keep pressing into the right hand, that hand stays on the floor, you let the right knee rock across your body over to the left. It may not reach the floor left, it may do, and this gives you this real feeling of length down through the right side of the body. Very nice. And you might repeat that twisty movement once or twice, it's up to you. And then whenever you feel you just need to have a little quiet, lie down in the middle before we do the other side. Do whatever you like. That's nice to fold your knees into your chest, Hilary. You might want to lie long. That's it, just be quiet. So give yourself a little breather in between sides. No rush. And when you're ready, entirely in your own time, you're going to move on to that movement where we've got the right leg long, the left knee bent, and we're just starting to press into the left foot. So this movement is very therapeutic for body and mind. That's very calming for the nervous system. So stay with this as long as you like. You don't have to go on to add the arm in if that's not right for your body today. If you are going to add your left arm in, it's easier to get the hand in place when your pelvis is lifted on the left side. The hand can get in a bit more easily. Then you can bring your pelvis back down, and you can then bring your hand onto your elbow, your right hand onto your left elbow, and do a little bit of circling, settling. And then see how it feels to press into the hand and the foot. If your wrist doesn't like this position, you could just have the arm long on the floor by the side of your head and see how it feels to do the foot pressing with the arm, the whole of the arm resting on the floor. That's another option, feeling long through the side of the body. Good. So remember, your head rolls towards the right. So as you press into the left hand, the left knee moves forwards over the left foot, your head rolls towards the right. And then in your own time, if you want to explore letting your knee then start to rock over towards the right. So your left hand stays really planted on the floor. If your left hand is sliding around at this point, then you might want to think about anchoring it down a bit more. So really, that's very nice. Lovely. I can see you now, Donna. I was just getting lovely views of your cat before that. Okay, very nice views of you now. Good. So you let that knee rock all the way, very nice, Sarah, over towards the right. And you might stay there for a few breaths in the twist, or you might come in and out. And whenever if you're still working with that, that's lovely. You can do a little bit more. Whenever you've had enough, just come back to the center, do whatever you like with your legs. Let yourself settle. Yes, very nice. Shaking out the legs towards the ceiling. I think that's Alice. Yes, it's Alice. Everyone's moved around, so just to confuse me. So yes, quite nice if you haven't done that, to fold your knees into your chest, to do a little bit of rocking, to take your legs up towards the ceiling, to give them a bit of a shake out. And we're going to be coming over in a moment to do a little bit of sitting with a series of mudras, a series of hand positions. So if there's anything on your back that you'd like to do that's quite good for your hips, that helps you in sitting, I have got a little preparation we're going to do when we come over. So let's see. I'm going to I've unmuted everyone for a moment, and then I'll mute you once we start to do the, because I think of it as a little bit of, when we sit with mudras, it is a bit of a meditation really. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to adjust where the laptop is, because I want to show you the mudras to start with, the little series, and then better see where I am. So, and there's Hilary and Rosie, I was talking about at the beginning about plants and flowers. There's a little bit of sort of a plant flower theme. So our first mudra is this really beautiful lotus bud. I'll wait for everyone to be organised. Yeah, this really beautiful lotus bud mudra. So you're not touching the palms together like in prayer pose. You've got space between your palms. I'm coming into the light a bit. That's it. You've got this bottom bit of your heels of your hands touching, the pads of the fingers touching, but you've got space in between the palms and the fingers. So you're making the lotus bud, and you rest this lotus bud at your heart. So that's where we start. And then if I sit back a little bit, some of you on Wednesday, we did this mudra on Wednesday. We then come to the Pushpata mudra, which is handfuls of blossom. So we rest the hands, back of the hands on the thighs, and we imagine we're holding handfuls of blossom. And then from here, we'll come to earth touching mudra, which is another really beautiful one. So the right hand stays facing the sky, and we touch our left fingers to the ground. And we think about them touching the earth, not just the floor of our houses. Yeah, that's very beautiful. And then we'll finish with both palms down. So I'll talk you through those, and as we go through, and yes, I'm going to mute you now. So just, oh yeah, we're going to do a little sitting preparation, but I think actually you all look like you're sitting rather beautifully. So just, yeah, settling in your sitting. I will mute you. We will come to working with those mudras. So, first of all, just in your sitting. You're sitting however you like. You could be kneeling, you could have your legs long, you could have your back to the wall. I always like to do a little bit of rocking, a little bit of circling. And then we'll bring our hands into that first mudra, the lotus bud mudra. So the heels of the hands touching, but we've got this space enclosed within the palms and the fingers. And then we bring our hands to rest at the breastbone. And it's just a process of inviting ourselves to settle, to let our body settle, to let our breathing settle, to let our awareness settle with the hand position. You might like to close your eyes. Feel the breath flow in, feel the breath leave you. So the symbolism of the bud is about hope and new beginnings, regeneration, promise, beauty, all these connotations that flower buds can have. We hold the lotus bud at our heart and we have a few breaths here. Let your shoulders drop, let the breath come in, let the breath leave you. And then from here, open your hands out, bring the backs of your hands to rest on your thighs. You're coming to Pushpata Mudra, handful of blossoms or handfuls of blossom. So let the hands settle, let your shoulders drop. And we're imagining here that we're holding handfuls of blossoms. And it means that we want the hands to be very soft and quiet so we don't crush the petals. Soft and gentle. And so again, there's this settling. We're letting the body settle. We're letting the breathing settle. We're letting our awareness settle with the position of the hands. And when our hands are turned upwards like this, it's very much a gesture of receiving. In this one, we're receiving the flowers, the blossoms. Maybe allowing ourselves to open to the beauty of the natural world that's all around ourselves. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave us. Keeping that focus with the soft palms and fingers so we don't crush the petals, and the weight of the hands resting on the thighs, the weight and the warmth. Just have another couple of breaths here. So feeling the breath come in, feeling the breath leave you. And then from here, we're going to leave the right hand where it is, facing upwards, and bring the left fingertips to touch onto the ground. And it might be the whole of the hand, however your hand meets the ground. And so in this one, I always have this focus on, so the right hand is facing the sky, the sense of receiving, maybe receiving the inhalation, the nourishment we need from the air, from the world around us. And then the left fingertips on the floor, the feeling that as we exhale, we can let our body contact the ground more fully. We can let go, feel supported. So breathing in, receiving through the right hand, exhaling, letting go down to the ground through the left fingertips. So have a few more breaths here. Receiving the inhalation, letting the exhalation go. Aware of the sky above us and the ground beneath us. And you can have another breath or two in this earth touching mudra. And then from here, we bring both hands to rest, palms down on the thighs. And this gesture is about just our awareness turning more inward now, within our body, sensing our breath, noticing what we feel inside of ourselves. And in a moment, we're going to lie down. Maybe have one more cycle of breath here. If you're sitting against the wall, try to balance your head on top of your spine rather than lean it against the wall. Good. So from here, it can be very nice to then bring both hands down onto the ground. So again, this feels of touching the ground. And you might also want to touch your forehead to the ground. You may need to bring your bottom up to do so. And then we're going to lie down. So make sure you've got warm things on, you've got a blanket. I don't know how, it's rather beautiful today, but you still need to make sure you're warm enough. Just come to settle the length of your body on the ground. And yeah, take your time. It's important to be warm enough. This seems to be harder when we're at home. And once you've settled down, no rush, it might be quite nice to let your head roll a little bit to the right and to the left. Make these really lazy, languid, easy movements. Just let the head fall over to the right, fall over to the left. Don't have to be big movements. Settling your head in the center, letting your shoulders rest back on the ground. If you want a couple of big sighing breaths, you can have them. Then just letting yourself settle quietly. You might have your hands on the front of your body, you might have your arms out by your sides. And allowing yourself to settle and be with whatever is present for you in your body right now. Might be the movement of the breath, might be other bodily sensations. It might be the feeling of your body in contact with the ground. Or it might be something that's not within your body, within yourself. It might be something within your world. It might be bird song. Just the feeling of the air on your skin or the sunlight. So whatever is present for you right now, just allow yourself to be with it for another minute or so. And all the time there's that ebb and flow of your breath. Receiving the inhalation, letting the out breath go. I'm going to ring the singing bowl now, so just stay where you are. I'm going to ring it 3 times. Stay where you are until the 3rd sound has faded. So starting to come back in your own time. I'm going to unmute everyone. I hope that doesn't suddenly make a cacophony of noise. Thank you, everyone. How did you get on? Hands and knees. How did you get on? Hands and knees tricky.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, look, Rosie's got her thing. Kate, where's Kate? Kate's still here. I've lost Kate.
I've lost all the audio.
Oh, there you are.
video.
How's your back? So, good. Okay, good. I'm glad it's not that. So.
I can do any of the when you're on your hands and knees and rolling back. So I just lay down during that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good.